Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolutely terrifying sequence of events and the deep historical lore surrounding the mysterious Blackwood Forest disappearances. We are looking at a fascinating, if totally chilling, case study of a local legend turning into a deadly reality. If you're the kind of person who likes to understand the actual mechanics of how a myth operates in real time, well, you are definitely in the right place. We have to start with this chilling prophetic warning. It was given to four best friends: Ryan, Ethan, Noah, and Lucas. Now, this warning came from an old man at a roadside tea stall, a local who intimately understood the danger they were walking into. But Ryan, stepping right into the role of the arrogant skeptic, completely dismissed it. He literally laughed in the guy's face, said ghosts don't exist, and pushed his friends to pack up their tents, cameras, and sleeping bags. They drove straight past the boundaries of safety.
All right, part 1, Into the Darkness.
What's wild here is how rapidly the environment shifted. During the afternoon, it was perfect. They're enjoying these massive pine trees, listening to birds singing, catching that magical sunlight filtering through the leaves, and just taking videos for social media. But the second the sun went down, the whole ecosystem flipped. The birds vanished, entirely replaced by strange whispers echoing through the trees. A sudden, freezing cold wind hit them, and then, just dead silence. Noah actually got a bad feeling and suggested leaving, but Ryan insisted on staying for the adventure. And man, that decision fundamentally sealed their fate.
So how did they get trapped? The entity used a highly calculated method to draw them deep into the woods, basically weaponizing their own empathy. First, they hear this soft, sad crying. Lucas thinks someone is lost out there, so Ryan grabs his flashlight. They end up following this sound for 20 full minutes, wandering way off any recognizable path. Finally, they hit a dead end, an abandoned well surrounded by rotting trees. And standing right there is a little girl in a dirty white dress, her face totally hidden by black hair. She doesn't speak, she just points deeper into the forest and walks away.
That brings us to the exact, terrifying moment Noah realizes they are caught in a supernatural loop. They had followed the girl, absolutely convinced they were heading somewhere new, only to stumble right back to that very same abandoned well. It's like the geography of the forest itself was actively warping around them. And right after Noah whispers that it's impossible, the girl vanishes. Their flashlights start flickering, and this slow, freezing laugh just echoes from every single direction. Which brings us to section 2, the 3 disappearances.
You really have to look at the timeline to understand how quickly and ruthlessly this entity picked off the friends in the dark. It is incredibly methodical. At the 20-minute mark, the crying begins. Just 5 minutes later, Ethan vanishes without a trace. All he leaves behind is a dropped flashlight and a few drops of blood. At 30 minutes, Noah gets dragged into the darkness. And by minute 35, Lucas is killed. This entire mind-bending sequence of pure terror happens in less time than it takes to watch a sitcom.
Just imagine the sheer panic of running blindly through a pitch-black forest. Ryan, Noah, and Lucas are sprinting for their absolute lives, only to hear these soft, relentless footsteps right behind them. Tap, tap, tap. No matter how fast they ran, the entity never lost pace. It didn't have to run. It was just pacing them, playing a sick game of cat and mouse.
When the entity finally decided to reveal itself to Noah, who made the fatal mistake of looking back over his shoulder, the visual was pure nightmare fuel. The source material describes pale skin like ice, completely black eyes, and this unnatural, stretched smile that completely defies human anatomy. It was pure psychological terror, designed to freeze Noah right in his tracks. And then came the whisper, "Stay with me." Those were the chilling words the girl breathed right before Noah met his end. He screamed and fell. Ryan desperately grabbed his arm, screaming at him to get up and run, but it just wasn't enough. These impossibly long black hands emerged straight from the pure darkness of the trees, grabbed Noah, and dragged him away. His screams echoed for a second, followed by total, suffocating silence. At this point, Ryan and Lucas kept running as a massive thunderstorm broke out. Just as they thought they might actually find a way out using the flashes of lightning to see, their path was entirely blocked. Dozens of identical ghostly girls in white dresses were suddenly standing right in front of them, all pointing, all whispering in unison to join us. It was a terrifying roadblock that set the stage for Lucas's brutal demise, because suddenly the crowd vanished, leaving just the original girl standing directly behind Lucas. She simply lifted him by the neck and twisted it completely around. Now, Ryan was truly alone.
Moving to Section 3, the witchcraft connection. So, why was this happening? An old newspaper from 50 years ago actually revealed the dark history of the forest, explaining exactly where this girl in the white dress came from. Her name was Emily. Frightened, paranoid villagers had accused her of witchcraft, dragged her deep into Blackwood Forest, tied her to a tree, and murdered her. What the boys experienced wasn't random. The events of the present were a direct manifestation of a violently unjust past.
Emily's dying words established a curse that perfectly explains the cyclical nature of these disappearances. This wasn't just a haunting, it was a carefully executed vendetta. Since the very day she uttered those exact words, dozens of people had mysteriously vanished in those woods.
Finally, Section 4, the final victim.
Let's go back to Ryan. He's sprinting through the forest, branches are tearing at his face, he's tripping over rocks, until he, incredibly, miraculously, makes it to the road that night. But we have to ask the question, did he actually break Emily's curse? Or was his physical survival just a delayed sentence? Because right before Ryan reached the total safety of the paved road, he felt icy fingers brush his shoulder. He looked back, and the ghost's final whisper to him heavily implied that his nightmare was far from over. She let him leave, yeah, but with a horrifying promise that the loop wasn't closed. For now. When Ryan woke up in the hospital, absolutely nobody believed his story. But search teams went out and they found physical evidence that totally corroborated the violence. They found the abandoned campsite, they recovered the smashed cameras, and they found blood drops scattered between the trees. It was undeniable that something horrific happened out there, even though the bodies of his 3 friends were permanently gone.
Years passed, but the trauma manifested literally. The entity never forgot her promise. Every single evening, just before midnight, Ryan heard the exact same soft crying sound returning to lure him. Except this time, it wasn't in the woods. It was right outside his own bedroom window. And whenever he checked, no one was ever there. The psychological torture was absolutely relentless.
Unable to resist the familiar whisper any longer, Ryan finally broke. On a rainy night, he opens his front door, and there she is, the pale, black-eyed girl waiting right under the moonlight. She simply says, "Come with me." The lights in his house go out, and neighbors report hearing one final scream echo through the night. He had sealed his ultimate fate. When police arrived the next morning, the front door was hanging open and Ryan was completely gone. But the only clue left behind cemented the terrifying reality of the legend. They found muddy footprints leading directly away from his empty house, pointing straight back toward Blackwood Forest. The curse had finally claimed its last camper. I want to leave you with this final, chilling takeaway from our source text. If you are ever out and you hear a little girl crying in the woods after sunset, whatever you do, do not follow the sound. She isn't lost, she's waiting for you. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What local legends in your own town might be more than just campfire stories? Stay safe out there, stay curious, and thanks for exploring this explainer with me.